Now to some big news in America, change of pace. This is very serious. A Venezuelan man convicted of killing US nursing student Laken Riley has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Jose Ibarra was charged with murder and other crimes for Riley's death earlier in the year in Georgia, and the guilty verdict was reached today. In court, we also heard from Laken Riley's stepfather, who read a letter that Laken Riley had privately written to her future husband.
I think one of her last journal entries dated 12/17/23 says it best. So here we go. To my future husband. As silly as I feel writing this, my old small group leader once recommended it, so here I am. To my future husband, I want you to know that I'm thinking about you. I'm working every day to become the best wife I can be.
Yeah, it's hard to find the words for this one. It is so heartbreaking to hear, and that story really just impacted so many people across the country. How are people feeling today?
Well, that was the first time I'd actually seen those comments being spoken as opposed to written in the transcript, and it is even more heart-wrenching than I thought it was. And it really is symptomatic of America's broken immigration system out here. I mean, there have been, under the Biden administration, around 8 million illegal crossings over the southern border, and Jose Ibarra was one such man. And what was so appalling about this tragedy is that not only was he bussed over to New York, but New York flew him out on a free plane ticket down to Atlanta, where he then committed this atrocity. And Donald Trump has responded. He seemed to capture the move, really criticizing and actually, backing this decision. He was found guilty on all 10 counts, the very least we could hope for. But it really is symptomatic of just how disastrous the immigration system has been over the last 4 years.
Absolutely, and as you say, Donald Trump has spoken about this. He posted on Truth Social, justice for Laken Riley, the illegal who killed our beloved Laken Riley, was just found guilty on all counts for his horrific crimes. And as you mentioned, Donald Trump has promised to carry out a mass deportation. How is that going to be conducted over the next 4 years?
Well, this is going to be a real test to see just how much of his agenda he can enact. And it's crucial that he uses those first 100 days and the majority he has in Congress, albeit a very slender majority, to basically push through these quite radical moves. Now, the challenge will be he wants to use the military to conduct these deportations. He's got a border hawk now in place to help facilitate that. But there is going to be resistance not only from Democrats, but from people from within his own party as well. And this is going to be the real test for Donald Trump to see just how much he can accomplish in those first 100 days.
Another issue dominating the headlines this week, Speaker Mike Johnson says he supports restricting single-sex facilities in the capital, including restrooms, to individuals of that biological sex, which would effectively ban the first transgender congresswoman from using women's bathrooms in the next Congress. Nancy Mace introduced a resolution this week that would ban transgender women from using women's bathrooms at the Capitol. Here she is.
I'm not going to stand for a man, if someone with a penis is in the women's locker room, that's not okay. And I'm a victim of abuse myself. I'm a rape survivor. I have PTSD from the abuse I've suffered at the hands of a man. So I'm absolutely 100% going to stand in the way of any man who wants to be in a women's restroom, in our locker rooms, in our changing rooms.
Nancy Mace makes a strong case.
She certainly does, and it's a big U-turn from her position in 2022 when she actually supported that, the right to self-identification. It also marks a much broader cultural shift going on in America at the moment, where, strangely, they have really lagged on the gender question from other countries in Europe. Now, we are seeing, particularly in red states, youth transition and gender transition surgeries being banned. There has been a lot of resistance from the Democratic and Biden administration, but Trump has made it a central aim of his to really take on this issue and start giving these rights back to states to enact themselves.
Now, finally, I mentioned this at the start of the show, but Donald Trump's dance moves, well, they appear to have taken the sporting world by storm after multiple US athletes across the country brought it out on the field in front of the cameras. Clips of it are going viral online, and I would say it really kind of captures the mood felt by some in America. What do you put this down to? How has Donald Trump really gathered so much support for him, and then also with his dance moves?
Well, I can promise your viewers that I will not be attempting any of those moves on this show, but it certainly does represent a big change, as you mentioned. I mean, politics is downstream of culture, and this is a really big difference from 2016, when you had people that were actually a lot of shy voters, and Trump's victory was pretty shocking at the time. I think this time round, people just feel a lot more licensed to be coming out. The scale of his win, people are saying, well, actually, there's a lot of other people who agree with my worldview now. And they're now coming around to the idea that, okay, maybe Trump isn't this evil fascist that Democrats are making him out to be. And that's why we're seeing all these figures from John Jones in the UFC, Christian Pulisic in soccer, all taking this dance on home. And it's really been quite interesting to see.
Okay, maybe next time we bring you on the show, you'll bust out the dance moves. James Billow, newsroom editor at Unheard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks very much.